Welcome to part 4 of our snapshot videos on GIMP. In this video we're going to have a look at a few extra tools just for the fun of it. First of all, we'll open an image file that we can use to play with. I'm going to choose a lovely rose image. With this image we can do a few more things in our color balance. One of them is if we click invert, it will make the colours all invert to the opposite colours, which always looks absolutely fabulous with a yellow because the blue and white that it inverts to stands out wonderfully. Just undo that. To make a sepia image, you go up to your Colours tab and go down to Colorize. This will turn your image a single colour hue. Once you've done this, you can then take your saturation down so it's not got a lot of colour in it, and then move your hue until it's in a brown tone, and that gives you a lovely sepia colour. With sepia, it's always a good idea to have a look at your contrast and just give it that little bit more contrast to really make it stand out and pop. If you wanted to make an image black and white, you would simply click on Colours, Hue and Saturation, and drag the saturation completely down. With no saturation, your image will be black and white. Again, on a black and white image, playing with the contrast can make your image stand out, and as we did in the previous video, bringing your curves up so it's a little bit lighter to make those light areas stand out will really make a black and white image pop. I'm going to undo those steps. Now, for a little bit of fun, we're going to look at removing the background on an image. The first section of tools are your select tools. Now with these you can select an area and choose to do certain things to that area. So if you selected an area and went to your hue and saturation, it would only do the editing to that area. However, we don't want to just do it to a square or an oval. We're going to choose one of our more creative selection tools. You'll find the third tool along, your free select tool, will allow you to draw any shape you want. Now this can be a tool that can be used to go around shapes if you're careful, and from there you could play around with, as I said, the colours of certain areas of your image. If you want to get a tool that will do some of the work for you, you could choose something like the fuzzy select tool. I'm just going to deselect by going up to select and none. With the fuzzy select tool, it will try and pick an area for you. So if you click, it will choose an area of color. You can make it pick more colors by dragging the threshold up on the side here, and it will click more and it will choose more colors. The threshold chooses how much color variation it is going to choose. So at 64, when we click on it, it takes all of the green and the dark areas and leaves an almost perfect cutout of our rose. We could have chosen to click on the rose, but as you can see it's got a little bit more variety. We're going to click on the background area, and you can see that it has got a selection of the rose, but it has also got the selection little marching ants around the outside, which shows you that it's selected the green. To make the selection choose just the rows and not the background, we need to go to select and invert, and this will change our selection so that only the rows has been chosen. To delete the background and create a transparent background behind the rows, you simply click on the rows layer over on the right hand side and go down to add layer mask. On the pop-up box, click selection and click add, and this will create a transparent background using the selection that you have made of the rows. Once you've done this, you'll have a rose that has been selected. I'm going to deselect the little marquee tool, the select tool, and make sure you click on the rows up in the toolbar, as this mask can be moved around separately. If you click on the rows, it will move both the rows and the cutout mask. If you click on the duplicate layer button, you can duplicate this rows, and as you can see now, we can proceed to play around a little bit, moving the rows around. We could invert one of the layers. We could colorize and just generally play around with our cutout roses. Back to our toolbar, a few of the other icons on here that are worth knowing. We've already looked at our selection tools. There's a select by color tool where you can choose to select by a certain color. Our scissors select tool, which will try and find the edge as you go around by clicking on dots. This is a handy tool if you don't have a defined solid block of color that you can click on to select, as it will do its best to find the edges you're wanting. If you want to add to this at any point, you can click on it and add dots to finish tweaking your selection. Once you're happy with your selection, click inside of it and you have your selection made. You have your color picker tool, which will allow you to pick a color just by clicking anywhere on the screen. If you want to match colors, that one's good. You've got your zoom tool, which will allow you to zoom in on certain areas, or if you go over here, zoom out. A measuring tool for measuring distances from the beginning to the end. Simply click once and drag it to where you want to see the distance, and you will see down the bottom it gives you your measurements. Your move tool will allow you to move your image around. Rotate tool to rotate an image. Your scale tool will allow you to resize an image or a selection. Shear tool creates a shear. A perspective tool, very handy if you've taken a photo of an image and you want to bring it back into perspective. This tool can be used to realign an image back to a correct perspective. And your flip tool, which will flip the image. Okay, we'll deselect to play with our cage transform tool to see it to best effect. With our cage transform tool, we can choose an area. And it will transform the image within it. And warp it to go with the points that have been chosen. Our text tool, if you want to add text to an image, simply click. You can create a box that you're going to type your text into. Type To change the font, simply highlight it. You can change the size in the size box. You can go down to the left hand side and you can see the fonts that you have that you can change your fonts to. Change the color by clicking in the color box. You can choose a number of different color boxes to be able to choose your colors. Just going along the top, it will write whatever color you have already got in your color option box. You can choose to justify it left, center and right alignment. I'm going to choose a Scriptina swirly font that we saw here, a Scriptina font. I'm going to make it a nice large font. To resize the text box, simply click in one of the corners and you can resize it to suit. Once you're happy with the font, you can click on your move tool and move it around to wherever you want it.